If you are 60, 70, or 80 years old, I want you to do something with me before I say another word. Hold out your hand. Now make a fist as tight as you comfortably can and hold it for just a moment. How did that feel? Strong and solid the way it always has? Or did you notice something, a little less force than you expected, a slight tremble, a grip that gave out faster than it used to? I ask you to actually do this, not just listen to me talk about it, because what you just did is one of the oldest, simplest tests in all of medicine, and it is quietly one of the most telling. Here is something most people go their entire lives without hearing from a doctor, and I mean that literally, because it rarely comes up in a routine visit. The strength of your grip, this simple, almost old-fashioned measurement, is one of the strongest predictors researchers have found for how long you are going to live. Not a guess. Not a scare tactic. A prospective study following older adults across 28 different countries found that hand grip strength was independently linked to overall mortality and cancer mortality, even after accounting for age and other health conditions. More recent research has found that adults with the weakest grip, the bottom fifth compared to everyone else, faced a risk of death more than double that of adults with stronger hands. Hospitals have started using it as a bedside tool, a 30-second measurement that tells a doctor more about a patient's underlying frailty than pages of other tests sometimes can. That is exactly why I titled this video the way I did, and I promise you, by the end, you will understand precisely why your hands, of all things, deserve this much attention. I'm Dr. Robert Hale. And today I want to walk you through 8 foods that the research consistently connects to grip strength, to the muscles, and just as importantly, the nerves that control your hands. I say nerves because that is a piece of this story almost nobody talks about, and I promise you it will change the way you think about your grip by the time we're done. 8 foods, ranked not by hype, not by how exciting they sound on a label, but by how strong and how consistent the actual evidence is. But before we get into the list, I want to ask you something because I mean this. How old are you? And be honest with me, have you noticed any change in your hands lately? A jar lid that used to be effortless and now takes real effort. A grocery bag that feels heavier than it should. Trouble opening a stubborn door handle. I want you to write it in the comments, your age and what you've noticed. I read every single one of them, and whatever you're feeling, I promise you, there is someone else reading that exact comment who needed to know they are not imagining it. All right, let's begin. 8 down to 1. Number 8. Berries. I want to start here with something that might seem like an unusual choice for a video about grip strength, because I think it's important to show you the full width of what the research actually covers, including the pieces that are more modest, more preliminary, but still worth knowing. As we age, our cells accumulate a kind of wear and tear from oxidative stress, essentially the byproduct of ordinary metabolism, like rust slowly forming on metal that's constantly exposed to air. Muscle tissue, including the small, precise muscles in your hands and forearms that control your grip, is not immune to this. Berries, blueberries, blackberries, strawberries, raspberries are exceptionally rich in antioxidant compounds called polyphenols, which help neutralize some of that oxidative wear before it accumulates. I want to be honest with you about the evidence here because that is the entire point of this channel. The direct link between berry consumption and grip strength specifically is more preliminary than some of the other foods on this list. Most of the strongest research on berries has focused on inflammation markers and general cellular aging rather than hand strength in isolation. But the mechanism is sound, the safety profile is about as good as it gets, and a half cup of berries added to your morning is an easy, low-risk habit, while more targeted research continues to develop. Number 7. Magnesium-rich foods like leafy greens, pumpkin seeds, and dark chocolate. Here's a question. Have you ever tried to open a jar, gripped it as hard as you possibly could, and felt your hand almost seize up, cramping right at the moment you needed strength the most? Magnesium plays a genuinely essential role in how your muscles contract and then release. Without enough of it, that release process becomes less efficient, and older adults are disproportionately likely to be running low. Research looking at diet and grip strength, including a large analysis from the UK Biobank, found that magnesium intake was positively associated with muscle strength in the population studied. I do want to give you the complete picture, though. This kind of research shows an association, a pattern in the data, not necessarily direct proof that adding magnesium alone will hand you back your grip. What we can say with more confidence is that magnesium-rich foods, leafy greens, pumpkin seeds, almonds, even a small square of dark chocolate, are nutrient-dense in ways that support muscle function broadly, and working them into your week is a sensible, well-supported habit regardless of how the grip-specific research ultimately settles. Number 6. Walnuts. Picture someone like a retired engineer you might know, active, health-conscious, who started adding a small handful of walnuts to his afternoon routine, not chasing any particular result, just because he'd read they were good for him. That small, unremarkable habit turns out to have more science behind it than most people realize. Walnuts carry a distinctive combination of plant-based omega-3 fatty acids and antioxidant compounds. In a randomized, controlled trial involving older active men, researchers combined a structured exercise program with daily walnut consumption and found measurable improvements in isokinetic strength, along with better sleep quality and balance compared to exercise alone. I want to be precise with you here. This study measured overall strength and functional outcomes, not grip strength in isolation, so I won't overstate what it shows. But it's a genuinely rare thing in nutrition science, an actual controlled trial rather than just an observed association, and that carries real weight. A small daily handful, unsalted, is a simple habit with meaningfully more evidence behind it than most trendy supplements sold specifically for muscle health. We're a third of the way through, and I want to pause for just a moment. If any of this has shifted how you think about your own hands, even slightly, would you tap that thumbs up button? It genuinely helps this information reach more people who need exactly this. And if you haven't subscribed, I'd love to have you here. Every week, I dig through research most people will never encounter, and I bring it to you straight, plainly, honestly. Number 5. Vitamin D sources, like fatty fish, egg yolks, and safe sun exposure. Here's something that surprised me when I first read the research closely. A large cross-sectional study out of Portugal, looking at more than 1,400 older adults, found that those at risk of vitamin D deficiency had significantly worse grip strength and slower walking speed than those with adequate levels, and the association was particularly strong in men. Vitamin D isn't just about bone density, the way most of us were taught to think about it. It plays a direct role in how muscle fibers, including the ones in your hands, respond to nerve signals. I do want to flag something important and be fair about it. This kind of research shows association, not certainty of cause and effect, and the authors of that very study were careful to note that randomized trials are still needed to fully confirm the direction of that relationship. What we do know is that vitamin D deficiency is remarkably common among older adults, particularly those who spend more time indoors, and correcting a deficiency through diet, safe sun exposure, or with your doctor's guidance, is a reasonable, well-supported piece of this puzzle. Number 4. Fatty fish, like salmon, sardines, and mackerel. You'll notice fish keeps appearing on lists like this one, and I think it's worth explaining exactly why, rather than just repeating that it's good for you, which honestly tells you nothing useful. A study out of the Hertfordshire cohort in the United Kingdom, following nearly 3,000 older men and women, found that regular oily fish consumption was positively associated with grip strength in both sexes, with an even stronger association observed in women. The likely mechanism involves the omega-3 fats EPA and DHA, which appear to support the health of cell membranes throughout the body, including in muscle tissue, and help calm the kind of low-grade chronic inflammation that quietly interferes with muscle maintenance as we age. I want to be fair here too. This is an observational study, meaning it shows a real-world pattern rather than definitive proof of direct cause and effect. But when you see a similar pattern show up again and again across different research groups studying different populations using different methods, that consistency itself becomes meaningful. 2 to 3 servings a week, wild caught where you can manage it, remains one of the more consistently supported habits on this entire list. Number 3, and this is the piece of the story I promised you earlier, the one almost nobody talks about. Vitamin B12, found in fish, dairy, eggs, and fortified foods. Here is something genuinely important to understand about your grip that most people have never once considered. Your grip strength is not only about muscle, it is about the nerve signal that tells your muscle what to do in the first place. The electrical instruction traveling from your brain, down your arm, into your hand. And vitamin B12 is essential for maintaining the protective coating around those nerves, called myelin, the insulation that allows that signal to travel quickly and clearly. Research has found that older adults with vitamin B12 deficiency show measurably worse grip strength and slower nerve conduction than those with adequate levels. One study of community-dwelling older adults found that B12 insufficiency was meaningfully associated with both low muscle mass and low grip strength together, the combination researchers define as sarcopenia. And this matters more than people realize because B12 absorption naturally declines with age, even in people eating enough of it, due to changes in stomach acid production. This means a genuine deficiency can develop quietly, even in someone who isn't a picky eater at all. If you've noticed tingling in your hands, a grip that seems weaker than your muscles alone would explain, or unusual fatigue, this is genuinely worth a conversation with your doctor and a simple blood test, because this is one of the more correctable pieces of this entire puzzle, and correcting it can matter enormously. Number 2, eggs. I know eggs have made an appearance on health videos like this one more times than you can count, and there's a good reason for that. One worth explaining properly rather than just repeating. Your muscles, including the small, precise ones controlling your fingers and grip, are in constant turnover, being broken down and rebuilt continuously. As we age, this rebuilding process becomes less responsive, something researchers call anabolic resistance, requiring a stronger trigger to activate the same response that used to happen automatically. Eggs are rich in leucine, an amino acid that serves as one of the most effective known triggers for this process. And research comparing whole eggs to egg whites alone has found that the whole egg, yolk included, stimulates that muscle-building response more effectively. I won't tell you that eggs alone will restore your grip because that would not be honest, and this channel doesn't deal in half-truths. But as part of an overall diet with adequate protein, and ideally paired with some form of regular hand and forearm activity, even something as simple as squeezing a softball a few times a day, eggs are one of the more efficient, affordable tools available to you. And now, number 1, overall protein intake, particularly animal protein, from sources like poultry, fish, dairy, and lean meat. This is where the strongest, most consistent evidence in this entire list comes together, and I think it deserves the top spot honestly. Not because it's the most exciting answer, but because it's the one the research supports most firmly. Researchers following the Framingham Offspring cohort, more than 1,700 men and women, tracked their dietary protein intake and grip strength over 6 years. What they found was clear: higher intake of total protein, and animal protein specifically, was directly associated with a slower rate of grip strength loss in adults age 60 and older. Plant protein alone did not show the same protective association in this particular cohort, which doesn't mean plant proteins aren't valuable for other reasons, but it does mean, honestly, that this specific piece of evidence leans toward animal sources. Current guidelines suggest most adults need somewhere around 0.36 grams of protein per pound of body weight daily. But a meaningful number of researchers in this field now believe older adults may benefit from meaningfully more than that, particularly if they're managing an illness, recovering from something, or simply trying to preserve strength proactively. Spreading that protein across your meals, rather than saving it all for dinner, appears to matter too, since your body can only use so much at once for actual muscle repair. So let's bring this together. Berries, magnesium-rich foods, walnuts, vitamin D sources, fatty fish, vitamin B12, eggs, and overall protein intake. 8 pieces of a puzzle that, layered together and paired with something as simple as regularly using your hands, gripping, carrying, even gardening, give your body genuinely better raw material to maintain one of the most quietly important measurements of your long-term health. I want to leave you with something to think about. Grip strength isn't just about opening jars or carrying groceries, although, believe me, those small everyday abilities matter more than we admit until we start losing them. It's a window into something larger, how well your muscles, your nerves, and your overall physiology are holding up together as one connected system. And here's the genuinely hopeful part, the part I want you to actually sit with. Muscle and nerve function are not fixed, unchangeable things. Research consistently shows that with adequate nutrition and regular use, older adults can meaningfully improve their strength, including grip strength, well into their 80s and beyond. It is not too late, and I don't say that to make you feel better. I say it because it happens to be true. I want you to picture something, not some distant abstract version of health, but something small and real. 6 months from now, twisting open a jar of your favorite preserves without a second thought. Carrying both grocery bags in from the car in one trip the way you used to. Holding your grandchild's hand crossing the street and feeling steady, capable, unremarkable in the very best sense of that word. That is what this is actually about. I'll leave links to some of the research I mentioned today in the description so you can read it yourself, or better yet, bring it to your own doctor, who knows your history far better than I ever could from behind a camera. If something in this video changed how you think about your own hands, even a little, I'd genuinely love to know. Tell me which of these 8 you're going to try first. Tell me what you noticed when you made that fist at the very beginning of this video. This channel exists because of conversations like that one, so don't be a stranger in the comments. Take care of yourself, keep using your hands as much as you comfortably can, and I'll see you in the next one.